But what that's happening to me in my virtual realities already, even before they manifest. So I'm thinking, that's interesting. Because it seems like it's already commonplace in my life, in my virtual realities. So I told my inner being, well, let's just go for the joy. Let's just not focus on, I want this and I want this, I want that. I just want to be a happy little camper.
What is it that you do want? Let's talk some specifics.
I just want to be happy and not be drawn to that I have to be successful and in the eyes of the world because it's so relative. And then I get lost and I feel so insignificant when I look around and I see people, brain surgeons and all this good stuff that seem to be contributing, and I'm sitting here saying, I just want to be happy. I feel like maybe there's something wrong with just not really having a passion. Like I've known since I was 3 years old I want to be a doctor. Well, that sort of thoughts have never come to me.
Well, we have to say to you that we see a lot of physical friends who are working with everything they've got to contribute in a powerful way, who have managed to get themselves into a place of such disconnection that they have no access to the power, and therefore they have very little to contribute. In other words, do not underestimate the power of connecting to source.
That's what I need to be clear on, Abraham, because I really don't have any lofty goals other than to be happy and just flow. And
what do you think that Jesus meant when he said the meek shall inherit the world? He meant in a place of non-resistance, all things desired flow. See. And so
it's okay just to have a goal. I want to be happy and to sit here and just flow with the energy.
Well, we hope so, because it is the body of our work.
because I know that I'm different than most people because they have such lofty goals, and I'm sitting here and I just want to be happy and just be a source of support for anybody who needs me. And I do find a lot of people see that and they come and ask my opinion because they know it's so different than what they're going to hear from everybody else. So I think I've been a mediator throughout my life for two opposing forces, whether it be my family, at work, anywhere. I just seem to be
you see that
mediator.
There are a lot of different ways of approaching life. There are a lot of people that are approaching life in lots of different ways, and we are not for a moment calling any of them wrong. But never question the value in your quest for joy, because your quest for joy is the most important thing that you could ever want and then achieve, because that's your alignment to source from which all things flow, you see. So you've got some choices. You can be not sure of what you're really about and feeling ornery about it, or you can not be sure of what you're really about and feel hopeful about it. You can feel not sure of what you're about and feel certain about it, feel optimistic about it, or you can not be certain about what you're doing and feel pessimistic about it. In other words, you have so much leeway and so much latitude here. And as you leave this gathering today and you decide, I am the creator of my own experience and I create by molding energy, and my awareness of the energy that I'm molding is by the emotion that I'm feeling, and it is my dominant intent to feel good. No matter where I go, no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm doing it with, my now, which is the juncture where me meets me, is all about how good can I feel now, how good can I feel now, how good can I feel now. Because life is right now. It's not going to be when Esther gets the monster bus. And it's not going to be when you figure out how you're going to get more money. And it's not going to be when you get your relationship squared away with your mate. In other words, it's not going to be then. Life is right now. It's right now. And so when you decide to take the bull by the horns and you decide that you're going to feel better now, not the best you've ever felt, but better now. My dominant quest is the feeling of relief that I always get when I release a little resistance and get more in sync with who I am. And as you play this game more and more, the material things matter less and less. The moment to moment to moment experiences become what life is about. And you just get, so you relish it. You're in a restaurant devouring the nice person that's waiting on you. Or you're in traffic enjoying the person sitting next to you, enjoying his music. And as you make eye contact and he winks and you say, I'm happy too, and he says, isn't life good? And then he says, I like your car. And then you say, I like your car too. And then he says, isn't this a beautiful day? And you say, don't we live in a wonderful time? And he says, don't you just love life? In other words, these kinds of interchanges are taking place all over the planet between you and others, you see. And that's what life is. It's just those moments of conspiring to acknowledge that well-being is the order of the day. We want so much for you to step back a little bit and continue to remind yourself that no matter where you're standing in your physical point of attention or perception, that well-being is outrageously more than any pocket of not well-being, no matter what. Your planet, in your technological age, have people that scour the planet looking for things that are wrong, and they bring them to you in such disproportion to the well-being that abounds. And we know that there are many people that are standing in a place where they could listen to us all day, and all they would come away from feeling is Abraham is not in touch with the real world. And we would say, and we never will be in touch with that world. Because when you get in touch with the things that are wrong in your world, you attune yourself to a vibration that does not allow the well-being that you so much want and deserve. So now you're at the point where you can't have it both ways. You can't have your foot in both worlds anymore. You know too much. You cannot commiserate with people that are worrying about this and that without bringing yourself to a torturous awareness that in this moment you are depriving yourself of energy that you now know is available to you. You can't go back. You can't touch the sweetness of connection to source energy and ever again be happy in any vibration that is less than that, you see. And so that's why we offer process after process. We want so much for all of you to come to this place where you are not beating up on yourself for negative emotion. You go to your classroom, and when the students jump through the hoops in just the right way, you give them an A. And if they don't do so well, you give them a B and then a C. And if they really don't do well, you give them a D or an E. Is anyone giving Fs these days? In other words, here is this spectrum of grades. And then you sort of equate that same sort of thing. You say, well, I'm joyful, so I get an A. And we say, yes, you do. And then someone else says, well, that must mean that since I'm fearful or angry, that I must get a D or an E. And we say, no, you get an A too. In other words, awareness of the way you feel is powerful and valuable in this class of deliberate creation. And then we say, someone who moves from overwhelmment into hopefulness, we give them 100%. Someone who moves from despair into anger, we give them 100% on the test. In other words, we want you to let your relationship with you be the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing or how anybody else is feeling, because they have a whole other set of criteria that you don't have access to. What everybody is feeling, no exception, is the barometer between their vibration of desire and their current state of vibrational attraction. That's what everybody is feeling, you see. And you just cannot compare what anybody else is living to what you're living. But you can say, I was bummed out this morning and I cheered myself up. You can say, oh, I was feeling very irritated and now I feel better. You can say, when I think about this, it makes me feel angry, but I've got myself to the point now that when I think about it, I just feel frustration. In other words, you can control your vibrational offering, which means you can control the way you feel. You've got to leave everybody else out of the equation. You have to come to the point that you don't give a rip what anybody else thinks about where you stand. Because when you factor in their considerations about all of this, you lose your awareness, you lose your proximity, you lose your quantifiable emotional journey.